Joe Todd. This is an interview with Captain Albert Rine at the 486 Civil Affairs Battalion in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Captain Rine, where were you born?
I was born in Houston, Texas.
And when's your birthday?
June 18th, 1957.
1957. When did you join the military?
I joined the military in 1983. I joined the Army Reserve as a private first class. I went to basic training at Fort Dix, New Jersey on the split training option.
What's that?
They allow you to take basic training one summer and then go back the next summer for your advanced individual training. And my plan was to do that as a method of getting a job to help put my wife and me through school. As it worked out, when I got back from basic training, I stood out like a sore thumb, and the junior ROTC instructor found me and asked me if I'd like to get involved in junior in ROTC. And I agreed and served as a simultaneous in the simultaneous membership program with the Oklahoma National Guard with 145 Med Company out of Broken Arrow. And then I was commissioned as second lieutenant in the regular Army in December of '85.
You went to basic at Fort Dix?
I went to basic at Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Who was your drill sergeant?
Staff Sergeant Moore.
Staff Sergeant Moore. What was he like?
He was awful. He was an alcoholic. He was never there. On our platoon was the worst in the company because he was never there, and the other drill sergeants pretty much had us do all the bad details. Anything else you want to know about Sergeant Moore?
What's your fondest memory of basic?
I really don't have any fond memories. I really enjoyed rifle training. You know, at basic training, I guess like a lot of guys, you're far away from home, and it was difficult to get a call out. Mail service was problematic. I was sick the first week of basic training, and I was in the hospital. So it's just,
What's your worst memory of basic?
I guess I did have one substitute drill sergeant that believed in mass punishment, and there were times that one or two soldiers would make a mistake, and he would decide to berate the whole platoon. I do remember once a mail call where mail was thrown at us with disdain, and that kind of left a bitter impression about that one drill sergeant.
And did you have AIT?
I didn't have AIT. I was going to go to AIT the next summer, but once I got into ROTC, I went to the advanced camp that next summer. And I had a kind of a unique situation. I joined on a guaranteed reserve forces clause, so I was just going into the reserves, and I was actually, out of 24 cadets at Northeastern State University, I was number 24 in the order of merit list. I was the GOAT. That was, we were a part of the University of Arkansas. We had 8 cadets, and so there was a lot of trash talking before we went to advanced camp, and I knew I was just as good as these guys because I had basic training, and so I went to advanced camp determined to do well, and I wound up the number 1 cadet out of the whole system. That bumped me up to number 6 on the order of merit list, and then I was offered a regular commission and branch of my choice. I chose the Signal Corps. And I had a good career for 10 years.
The Signal School is where?
The Signal School is at Fort Gordon, Georgia.
Okay. Office basic. Okay. You go overseas?
I was overseas.
Where?
I was in Kaiserslautern, Germany. I served with the 1st Signal Battalion from 91 to 93. While I was there, I was the adjutant, I was company commander, and I was the assistant S3.
Were you there when the Berlin Wall came down?
No, that was in 1990 or 89, and I actually was there right after the Persian Gulf War.
Did you go to Desert Storm?
No.
Okay. And you left the military when?
I left active duty in December of in June of 1995.
Okay. Why did you leave active duty?
I really like being an officer. I liked service, but it was time to come home. I have two boys, and I wanted to bring them home and spend time with them.
And when did you join the reserves?
Well, as part of my separation, I was in the individual ready reserves. About 11 months ago, I interviewed for a position at this unit, and it took them, I guess, a long time to process the paperwork, because I didn't receive orders until, I guess, about 4 months ago, right about the time that the unit was being activated for Bosnia.
Yeah.
One wonders about that sometimes.
Why Civil Affairs?
My father-in-law works with Major Wheatley, and she had some very positive things to say about the unit, and I thought it would be an interesting challenge.
What is your idea of Civil Affairs?
You understand I'm not trained in civil affairs, yes. My idea of civil affairs is it helps to restore governments. It helps to restore to people a semblance of what their life was after bad things happened.
Have you been to Civil Affairs School yet?
No.
Okay. When you first heard that you may be going to Bosnia, what was your attitude?
I was shocked. Yeah, I believed that part of my life was over. And I felt for a time like the fix was in. Like I had this application for the unit setting somewhere in Florida for a long time. And maybe they thought, oh my gosh, we're going to send this unit to Bosnia. Who can we put in there to plus them up? Here, let's take this guy. But so I don't know how it happened. But the more I thought about it, I mean, this is when you raise your right hand and when you take the king's nickel, you do the king's bidding. So I'm going to go and do what I swore an oath to do.
Ever thought you'd be in combat?
In the abstract, not as much as I thought of it now. And I served for 4 years with the artillery. And this was at a time when we were prepared to go and to face the Warsaw Pact. And I went to the National Training Center for 3 rotations and learned a lot and thought about combat, but never like I have recently.
Of course, you have training every drill, whether with weapons, gas masks, or whatever. How has your attitude toward training changed before and after notification?
Well, it becomes more intense. I spoke with some friends of mine who went to Desert Storm, and they said that once they were alerted for Desert Storm, that their life and the life of their unit changed. There are certain things that happen in the regular Army that once you know you're going to a combat zone, it is absolutely, it's different. Things that you thought were time wasters are no longer done. Certain programs that the Army has are no longer important. And I saw this in Desert Storm coming back. You know, there were people that were about to be chaptered out of the Army on the weight control program because they flunked the PT test. And nobody cared about that when it was time to go to the desert. They took them, and then they chaptered them once they got back. So, but I guess I've rambled a bit. Your question was about training. And I think I've seen everybody take a very healthy interest in things like weapons and gas masks and order of battle and tactics and staying alive skills.
Of course, they have Bosnia on the news. They show all the destruction over there. When you see this, what's your reaction? That you may be there in your future?
I'm not cocky, but I believe I'm a good soldier. I believe that the people that I've seen here are good people, and I think we're going to do okay. Of course, I have a healthy concern for my own skin, and I have a healthy concern for the skin of the people around me. I don't think anybody really knows until they've gone to combat what it's going to be like. And when I think about this, I believe that if I needed to, I could put a bullet into some other person if I believe they were threatening me or my people. I've gone through that. But when you start talking about when they're shooting back at you, I don't think any man knows, any person knows what they're going to do at that point. The question is, will I become a better shot? Will I become a worse shot? Will I break and run? I don't think I'll break and run. I don't think anybody ever really knows until that happens. I think I'll do okay.
When I say landmines, what's your reaction?
Landmines bother me. I read General Schwarzkopf's book about landmines, where he discussed the fear he felt in a minefield. But I also read the book about how he overcame his fear, how he helped other people. And I would hope I could do the same thing if I ever came into that kind of a situation.
Snipers.
Same deal. That's scary. That's scary. We're taught how to respond to that.
Has your attitude changed towards your family since you've been notified?
Yes. My wife and I tend to cherish moments, and we tend to look at each other differently. We're just a little flicker of an eyebrow. You can say, I can't believe this is happening. And we spend, I guess, about a month in denial. But we've reconciled ourselves to what's to come, and I'm okay, and she's okay.
Now, this is a classified interview. Do you know where you're going in Bosnia?
No. My orders say Tuzla, and my commanders indicated that we could be one of a variety of areas.
What are your expectations for Bosnia?
I think it will be a difficult place. I tried to imagine what Tulsa would be like if there was no natural gas service, if there was no electricity service, if all the bridges in the Arkansas River had been dropped, if many of the girls from the ages of 10 to 40 had been raped, if many of the men had been killed or sent off to concentration camps, if there was no way to reasonably get food, if the water supply was unsanitary, so you had to boil it, but there was no natural gas to boil it. It's difficult to imagine. We're so fortunate here in the United States.
Have you pondered the thought that you might be shot or even killed?
Yes. I haven't really discussed it with my wife. I don't think she wants to even think about that. I did go to the director of I'm a school teacher. And, my kids are very concerned about Bosnia, and I kind of downplay it. I explain to them I'm going to be sitting in some tent, reading comic books and eating peanuts. But I did go yesterday, as a matter of fact, to the director of middle schools. And I said, I don't think there's going to be a problem. But if anything happens to me, my principal can keep the press away from the school. But before the students are told, I would hope that you would get a team of counselors from all over the public schools brought to my school to deal with what these kids might be going through. I've thought about it.
How old are your kids?
My kids, I have two boys. They are 8 and 10. They're in elementary school. One's in the 5th grade and one's in the 3rd grade.
What's their reaction?
See, they're Army brats. You know, we've had 10 years in the Army, and they've seen Daddy deployed, never like this. And they understand that we have a little ceremony when I go away where I pull the big old sword off my wall, and I hand it to the oldest kid. Once I hand it to the youngest kid and say, you know, you're the man of the family now. And they've thought along the line of, well, Daddy, you're going to have to hand out your sword, right? And they understood that Daddy's going to be away. But it's different this time. We're not in Germany, we're not deployed, we're home. And we're around family. It's going to be a more supportive atmosphere. That's a difference, I think, between being in active duty and being in the reserves. Here we have a supportive, caring, nurturing environment. In the regular Army, the Army has to step in because those support systems are not there.
What would you tell your family if you don't come back?
There's an old Army running song that says, "Tell my girl I did my best." And I hope that my wife could be told that if I didn't come back, that I behaved and performed with honor, that I took care of soldiers, and that I did what was in the best interest of the United States. I would tell her to use all the money that the Army's going to get to her and try to get more, and to take care of my kids, and to go find somebody else.
What is the problem in Bosnia, in your opinion?
I think they all hate each other. I don't know. I've looked at the history, and you see one group started conquering another, the other group started conquering another, and there's been all this hatred that's been underlying for years. And Hitler's divisions kept it down, and then Tito's divisions kept it down. But with the collapse of those stabilizing influences, you know, evil things have happened. And I wonder sometimes if we can actually fix that, because of all the war crimes. I mean, you have a generation of kids that know that their mother and their big sister was raped, that Daddy was carted off by one group or the other. I don't know if there is a solution.
Do you have any comments you want to make? For posterity?
For posterity. And this is classified secret.
Yes, it is.
I am an officer, and a sworn oath to obey the orders of the President and to support and defend the Constitution. And our leaders believe that the Constitution can be best served by sending me to Bosnia. I don't agree with that. I don't understand why we have to send Americans there. But that's not my business. Our leaders were elected by the people, and they've made this decision. And like any officer, like any non-commissioned officer, like any soldier, I'm going to go and do what I need to do. And I'll do it with honor and with compassion and with pride.
Well, Captain Rine, this is part 1 of the interview. Part 2 will be when you return. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This is November 9th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Sergeant Jim Holland at the 486 Civil Affairs Battalion in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma.
Good morning again, sir.
Good morning. When's your birthday?
Let's see. Gotta think about that. That's so far back I've forgotten. Now, it's the 23rd of August, 1952.
And where were you born?
Oh, Camp Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, Camp Polk. Okay. When did you join the military?
When?
Yes.
I was commissioned the 6th of May, 1976.
Out of ROTC?
Yes, sir.
Where did you go to school?
I went to the University of Oklahoma, sir.
Okay. Your officer's basic was what?
Fort Knox, Kentucky for approximately 3.5 months, learning both armor and cavalry general tactics.
Okay. Now, were you active duty?
No, sir. When I was commissioned as a reservist with sufficient active duty time to go to school and learn my job.
Okay. And which reserve unit were you a member?
Oh, when I came back from Fort Knox, I joined the 827th Repair Parts Company out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. It wasn't exactly the unit that I was looking for at the time, but they had an opening for a second lieutenant platoon leader, and I interviewed with the company commander, and he apparently liked what he saw, and he offered me an opening.
And when did you join this unit, the Civil Affairs unit?
Oh, I've been here since December of 1979, sir.
79. What is Civil Affairs?
Oh, man, that's the hardest question you can ask someone. Civil affairs, unlike the combat branches, deals primarily with civilians and with their relationship with the military. We work with the supporting unit commander and with the civilians within his area of operations to ensure that the relationship between the two is as amicable as possible. We keep the civilians out of the commander's hair on the battlefield, and thereby allow him to do his job. And we coordinate with the civilians for the commander to obtain certain types of supply that maybe we haven't brought over with us, or we did not realize that we would need when we came into the area, and that are available there on the civilian market. And in worst cases, we work to set up refugee centers for civilians that are forced to other homes due to natural disaster or some kind of armed conflict. We also help, and we are capable of helping the local civilians in the area that we are operating in recover from a disaster of some sort or from an armed conflict. We have experts, and we have experts within our units that are capable of working in any one of some 20 different areas, ranging all the way from education to banking to law enforcement to the cataloging and protection of national monuments, libraries, and archives.
Okay. Of course, you went to Desert Storm. We have an interview with you about Desert Storm.
Yes, sir.
So, I've heard the old cliche that once you've been shot at, you're gun shy.
Sir, I really cannot answer that particular question because, yes, I was in the Gulf, but I was not shot at. And I was not shot at per se. So I've decided that this is, so to speak, my last hurrah. Yes, I've got the experience to be useful still in the future. I know what I'm doing. I can do it. when you come right down to it, all I need is a general or rough idea as to the finished product that is wanted, and I can run with it, and I can produce a product, which is, yes, that's something that a lot of our young soldiers haven't learned yet, but I've come to the, I guess I've finally come to the conclusion that war's a young man's game, and I get to the point where I'm a little too old to go out there. I don't want to take any chances of possibly putting somebody else in jeopardy.
Okay. When you first heard that you were going to Bosnia, what was your reaction?
Oh, surprise. Really surprised that it had taken so long for somebody to decide that it was going to become a continuing mission, or that it would need to be a continuing mission. It was something I'd been expecting for a while. I guess I was a little surprised that they decided to go ahead and pick this brigade and provide the third echelon, so to speak. But I was hoping it would be put off for a little bit longer before anything happened, but
Since you've been in the unit quite a while, there's a lot of young soldiers in here. Have you seen their attitude change toward the training from their normal drill to now to a real world situation?
we still have a lot of the same problems that reservists and reservists everywhere has. If there's been a change in the attitude of the young soldiers, it's been all positive. One of the problems with reserve units is that no matter how well you have a training plan put together for a drill weekend, there are always going to be changes that come up from one month to the next. Sometimes those changes are going to come up, or the reason for those changes will come up right in the middle of the drill, and they will necessitate a complete change of the training that's going to be done. Sometimes, as a result, soldiers are left to basically conduct their own training for a period of time. Hopefully it'll be a short period, but sometimes it's not. And a lot of the young troops who really do not have really don't have a lot of experience with being flexible start getting a little antsy. They want, the folks we've got here, sir, want something to do.
Okay.
They want to be busy. They want to train.
Let me ask a question.
Right.
The soldiers that are here today, the
Yes.
young soldiers, have you seen their attitudes change since they're going to go to the combat area?
Some of them, sir. Some of them are afraid, which if they didn't have some fear, I wouldn't want them around. They're positive. They don't really want to go, but they have a job to do. They know what it is, and they're going to go with it, and they're going to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not like back in '91 when we were both called up, and if you recall, there were people in reserves at that time that were saying, I didn't join up to go to war. I joined up to go to school or to pay for my car or something like that. The only person that I have heard here in the unit that really was unsure about going. I don't think we'll be going. He's having some problems with his father. They're the kind of problems that I can understand the man not going. I have no problems there. There have been one or two individuals, not among the junior enlisted, who have said that they're not going to go. Now, I'm going to let, they got to look at themselves in the mirror. Each one, I look at myself.
On television,
So,
Bosnia's in the news. You see the destruction over there in the cities.
yes,
When you
sir.
see this, what do you think, realizing that you are going to be there in the near future? What's your reaction?
I really don't think about it that much. It's an opportunity to, it's the first opportunity since 1945 to go into a war zone and get it back on its feet. In the Gulf, we were lucky. Down there in the Saudi Arabian area, there wasn't a lot of destruction. I was not one of the individuals that went in Kuwait City, helping to do the reconstruction there, and I did not wind up in northern Iraq at the refugee camps. What we're going to be doing over in the Bosnia-Herzegovina area is going to be a lot like what the Allied military governments did in Germany and France in 44 and 45. There are areas there that are going to be completely dozed out, or dozed off rather. They're going to be resurveyed. Construction materials are going to be found, and in some places, villages are going to be built literally from the ground. And for me, it's, I don't know, it's just a little exciting in some ways to be able to go over there and actually do what the CA branch was originally intended to do.
What's your expectations? Now, this is a classified interview, so.
My expectations. Probably 2 to 3 weeks of absolute boredom and paperwork there towards the end of December, beginning of January, while waiting for the roads to clear off sufficiently so that we can travel. And then anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5 months of purity chaos and hell, running back and forth, trying to get this, that, arranging for supplies needed by the locals, and taking care of all the paperwork involved. It's going to be a lot of work, but like I said, I think that first 3 weeks or so, we're going to want things snowed in, and hopefully we'll have enough intelligence to take advantage of that time and put together a plan of action.
When I say landmines, what's your reaction?
So the only two things that scare me worse than landmines. One is fire, the other one is snakes. And
What does snipers do?
snipers are up there in the pucker factor, but with snipers, there's something you can do something about snipers if you're watching yourself and if you're paying attention to what's going down. Mines. The only place in the world that has more mines in it than Bosnia is Cambodia, and that's a scary thought. That is a very scary thought.
Has your attitude or your relation with your wife changed since you were notified to go into Bosnia?
Not really. So over the course of the last 6 years, I've been alerted 10, 12 times about potential missions of 3 weeks or longer in duration. Every time those have fallen through the cracks. I've received orders telling me that I was supposed to be in one location at the same time that I was in another location on orders. To an extent, my wife and I have laughed about a lot of this. I'm not sure if they were horse laughs or not, but we probably have not been as worried about this call-up as some of the couples here in the unit.
Have you thought about the possibility of you getting shot or even killed?
Sir, I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't think about that periodically, but I took the attitude a long time ago that if I worry about that, it's going to happen, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. My attitude is the best way to prevent that, and as much as possible, is to not do anything stupid. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But if I'm thinking about it, it's my philosophy or my thoughts that it's more likely to happen.
What would you like to tell posterity?
That we had a job to do. We went out, we did it without complaining, and we did it to the best of our abilities.
Do you have any comments or statements you want to make?
Sir, anything I could think of to say would be sound extremely trite. I'm a firm believer in the old adage that freedom is not something that's given to you, but it's something that you earn, and that you earn it on a constant basis, day by day. I fully expect that there are going to be numerous times in the course of this rotation and I'm going to be scared out of my skin. I try not to think about it. Instead, I try and think solely about bringing my people home, bringing myself home in the same condition we go over it. I know that there are always going to be people out there that are going out looking for some kind of glory or some kind of medal or what have you. I don't really care about that. I never have. I just want to do the job, go in, do it, come out. In that respect, I guess I'm a typical American.
What would it take in a situation like this for you to kill someone?
Sir, I'll tell you exactly what's going to take. And this is exactly what I'm going to tell the enlisted people and the junior officers of my team. If someone starts pointing a weapon in my direction, they even act like they're going to use it, I will drop it. I expect the people on my team to do the same thing. If it turns out that it wasn't, that the person was not going to fire on us, I'll walk down that road when it comes, and I'll take the heat for the people on my team. They will come out alive.
Sir, I think we have a good interview.
Thank you, sir.
This is part 1. Part 2 is when you return.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This is November 9th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Specialist Charles Egan at the 486 Civil Affairs Battalion in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Where were you born?
I was born in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
And when's your birthday?
It's April 2nd, 1975.
Okay. When did you first join the military?
May 10th, 1993.
Active duty or reserves?
Reserves.
Okay. Which
Joined
unit
this
did you
unit.
join?
This unit.
This unit, okay. Why the Army over the Navy, Marines, Air Force?
Well, my dad was a sergeant in Vietnam in the Army, and before that my grandfather had been in the Army, and so it's kind of, runs in the family. So ever since World War II there's been somebody in the family that's been active duty at some point in their life, or at least in the reserves. So sort of following in their footsteps.
Why civil affairs?
Well, two reasons actually. First reason was it was probably the only job in the military where I could actually help people in other nations improve their lives dramatically, and actually be in contact with the local civilian populace on a regular basis. And that was something that sounded pretty good to me. It sounded really exciting. The second reason was they had pretty good benefits package, you could call it, bonus and that sort of thing that they offered me right out of high school. And there was no way to find a job equivalent right out of high school. So those were the two reasons.
Where'd you go to basic?
I went to basic training at Fort Jackson.
Tell me about basic.
About basic?
Yeah.
Well, it was actually, I have to admit, it was rough and stressful, but it was kind of enjoyable because of the people I was with. It was I was with Charlie 161 at Fort Jackson, and from everything I've ever been told about that particular company is that they continually score higher and achieve more than any of the other companies on that base. And it was true. While we were there, we were normally in the 80 to 90 percentiles on qualifications for everything. And we had, I believe, 4 guys qualify Hawkeye on BRM. So it was like, it was unheard of. We had a general, the base commander came down and congratulated us all at the end of BRM. And it was, that was nice. And I had a great drill sergeant. His name was Drill Sergeant Seacrest. He was out of the 101st. Never forget that guy. He taught me a lot. Squared me away quite a bit.
What do you remember about him?
What do I remember about him? The way everybody jumped when he came down the hallway, for starters. He was, if you looked at him, he looked like a real quiet, real professional, nice guy. But if you pissed him off, he was the worst drill sergeant to piss off. I remember one day he dropped me for push-ups. And I was on the hill inclined about like this. I was doing incline push-ups and he walked away. But he turned back around and I was on 50 something. He told me, "Recover, get back over here." He asked me, he said, "Specialist, what are you doing still down? Get over here." He had never told me to recover, so it was like, doing push-ups, drill sergeant. But he was pretty impressive. When we graduated, he came out and he had more ribbons and medals and awards on him than the base commander even did. I mean, the guy was stacked. He was a really squared away, really great guy to work for that short period of my life. Made quite an impression.
What's your fondest memory of basic?
Probably when we were out in the field. The guys I was with had always told me that they thought I should have been at the very least their platoon leader, because they always kind of followed me and did what I said. And when we got out to the field for some FTX stuff, we ended up breaking out that way. The drill sergeant put me in charge of a squad, and we went out and actually had to do some practice. We had to set up some ambushes. We had to go out and find some guys and that were setting up ambushes for us, and we took them out. So the drill sergeants were really happy with it, was really impressed, and it was great because these were guys that, you know, we'd worked on this stuff day in and day out, and everybody had told them how they weren't squared away, how they were ate up, and we went out there and we kicked butt. And that felt really good because when the guys that was there, you know, they were like, whatever you say, let's go do it, we'll go. We know you tell us the right thing. That made me feel really good because the guys, you know, I'd been with for just 2 months, and already whatever I said, they trusted me. And that felt really good. It was kind of a surprise that people trusted me that much that they would do whatever I said. And I was like, okay, well, let's go. But it was great. That was a really good feeling.
Now, what's your worst memory of basic?
One day during PT, when we had a female drill sergeant, and I was in pretty good shape at the time. You know, I'd left here working for a construction company, roofing houses and stuff like that, playing football and bodybuilding. I was in great shape, except, you know, I couldn't do sit-ups very well. Never had really done them. And I asked her one day if they always made us drop to our knees doing push-ups after so long. I didn't know if they were required to or not, and I asked her if I had to do that. She said no. The next day, when we were out doing PT, we had to do about 300 or 400 push-ups, and she blamed me. She told everybody. She said, and then she made us do a bunch more sit-ups because of the fact that I said I wasn't getting in any better shape. I'd gotten to like 260 on my PT test and stopped. And I wanted to get better than that, and she just like smoked us and blamed me. So that night, everybody hated my guts. That really sucked. For the next 2 weeks, everybody was pissed at me. We were all sore for about 4 days. That was my worst memory.
So where'd you go to AIT?
I went to AIT at Fort Bragg.
For
Civil Affairs.
Civil Affairs.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever think that you'd be called to active duty to a combat area?
I didn't know if I'd be called to a combat area or not, but I knew I'd be called to active duty. I was sure of that at some point. I was figuring it'd be something more along the lines of, maybe the government collapsing in Cuba, or something in Nicaragua or Honduras, but never Bosnia. I never thought I'd have to go somewhere in Europe in my lifetime. But, oh well, that's the luck of the draw. So.
When you first heard that you were being deployed to Bosnia, what was your reaction?
Well, first I didn't really believe it because I knew the President and NATO were both saying that they had no plans yet. They hadn't made up their minds. So I was like, well, I'm going to wait and see. Because as long as they were saying that, I figured, well, I always grew up thinking you should trust the people that are in your chain of command, really. And I didn't think we'd really end up going because they were saying that. But then I guess the situation changed and they decided now we need to stay. So when I finally got orders is when I really finally believed it. And that didn't even really hit home that we were really going until I had time to stop and slow down for a minute because I've been so busy this year that it hit me last week. I guess Tuesday night was when it finally hit me. I was like, yeah, I'm going to Bosnia. And it was kind of weird. It was like, this should have hit me about 5 days ago, but no, and still hasn't really fazed me that much. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to miss my family because I've never been away from them for that long. But I'm not really too worried about it. I think it's going to be an all right mission.
You have training during your monthly drills on weapons or gas mask, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Has your attitude toward the training changed since you were notified to go to Bosnia?
Not really. I've always thought that was something you really needed to take pretty seriously anyway. Because, like I said, I always figured at some point in time I'd be going somewhere. but I didn't know when. But no, I have pushed myself a little harder on PT just because I know I'm going to be on active duty again. And I knew I'd gotten out of shape because I'm a computer programmer. It's kind of hard to stay in shape 16 hours behind the desk every day. But no, I don't think it's really changed that much.
On television, we see Bosnia, the destruction over there. What's your reaction when you see those pictures on television, knowing that you're going to be there soon?
Well, considering how beautiful the place used to be, it's kind of disheartening, but at the same time, you know, I've studied enough history to realize that that's probably the predominant side of human history, is that we have a tendency to tear things up, and we have a tendency to kill each other. So, you know, looking back at our history, this is their civil war, and we did about the same thing to our country during ours. I kind of understand why they did that. I guess as much as anybody could understand why someone did that, just because of the fact I've studied enough history to realize that's the only way human beings know how to work things out most of the time. But at the same time, it's really saddening to think, you know, once upon a time that was one of the most beautiful churches in the world, or, you know, one of the most beautiful cities. It's just too bad that we have to be that way.
And this is a classified briefing, interview. Do you know what your job is going to be in Bosnia?
Yes, I do. I'm the IMO for this unit, so
Which is?
Basically means I take care of the computer equipment, keep everything running. I'm supposed to spend almost all of my time in the top, so I'm going to be answering phones a lot, keep sending out messages to all of our guys out in the field, making sure they're comfortable, or as comfortable as they can be in 5 degree weather. But you know, basically I'm going to do that, and whatever the commander needs as far as computer software, equipment, whatever I can do to make the mission go a little smoother. I'm bringing some stuff with me to write some software to help us out. So as time goes by, life will get easier for our people.
Where are you going to be in Bosnia?
I'm supposed to be in Tuzla or Sarajevo, wherever the commander ends up being. Probably Tuzla, is my understanding at this time.
When I say Bosnia, what's your reaction?
I'm not sure I really have a reaction just towards Bosnia. What I think about when I hear Bosnia is, you know, I still have some questions as to why we're there. I'm not sure that we're doing all that much good. You know, it's like I said, it's their civil war, and I have a feeling that what we're actually going to end up doing is kind of pushing the tension under the surface. And anytime you do that, eventually it bubbles back up. So I'm not sure we're actually solving the problem. I have a feeling we're just kind of pacifying the people there for a short period of time, and eventually things will break back out. But I hope that, you know, maybe it'll be a successful mission. Maybe we actually will, you know, change the course of history for that part of the world and put them on the right track. But I've got some serious doubts.
Snipers.
Well, I hope I don't encounter any. I hope none of the guys encounter any. I'm more worried about them than I am myself. Like I said, I'm going to be in Tuzla. I'm going to be pretty much as secure as anybody can be. I'm going to be locked down, apparently. But the guys that are going out there, I'm a little worried about them, because, you know, kind of feel like they're my guys, because I've been in this unit longer than most of them have, and that's my main concern. I don't want to have to, you know, try to deal with one of them getting hurt, one of them getting shot. That's my only concern there.
What would it take for you to kill someone?
for me to kill somebody, basic, not much more than thinking that they were going to kill one of my friends. If they were going to kill somebody I was with, if I had a feeling that was the case, I think I could probably do it. I've never had any doubt that I could. But threats to myself, I tend not to react to, but threats to people that I'm friends with or that I'm close to, that usually will get a reaction out of me very quickly. But I have to always try to apply equal force. That's my rule. So.
What is the cause of the trouble in Bosnia?
It all started with, as far as I've been able to figure out, the Battle of Kosovo back in, I believe it was 640 AD, something like that. But they've been fighting just because of the fact that the Turks invaded Yugoslavia back when I believe the guy was a duke actually, but he was a prince. He was a Serbian prince, I believe. But if I remember my history right, he had set up an empire, and Yugoslavia was the center of it. The Turks invaded, kicked his butt, pushed him back, and it all started with that. It was related to the Crusades. They've just never been able to work it out.
I keep hearing this term ethnic cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it two ethnic groups?
Oh, I believe there are three. There's the Croatians, the Serbs, and then there are the Muslims. And the ethnic cleansing is, as far as I can tell, mostly on the part of the non-Islamic peoples, which has been the case for 1,000 years now. They've been trying to push out the infidels, get them out of Europe. I haven't figured out why they're still trying to do this after 1,000 years. It doesn't make much sense. If you've lived with these people and intermarried for 1,000 years, you'd think you could figure out a way to get along. But apparently they haven't.
Has your attitude toward your family changed?
No, still love them just as much. I know I'm going to miss them. But I know they'll be here when I get back, and I know they're all going to be okay. So that's, as long as they're still here and still alright, that's all I care about.
You ever thought of the possibility that something might happen to you?
Yes, I have. That's why I made sure I had life insurance from my family. I've got $500,000 worth of life insurance, and got my will all set up so that everything's going to be taken care of. My family will be all right. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. So if something does happen to me, that they're okay.
What would you tell your family if you didn't come back?
Well, that's tough. I know I'd tell them I love them. Tell my son I was real proud of it. Getting all emotional. Tell Susan I love her. And tell my mom and dad thanks. And tell my brother and my two sisters that I love them both a lot. I love them all a lot, and just take care of themselves. But mostly, main thing is tell Susan I loved her. They'll always be there. Same thing for my son. Hope that never happens.
I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either, but I mean, I figure I was talking to Sergeant Schofield last week, and he said the same thing that I thought is just as much chance of something happening to me driving home on the freeway as there is going over to Bosnia.
Sergeant Sykes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because he was a good friend of mine, and I miss him a lot already. I mean, I came to him last year, not really, kind of expecting to see him, when I got that message, I couldn't believe it. You know, he's only 30 years old and had a heart attack. That was completely unexpected. I got home and got the call at about midnight. But I guess it happens. You gotta be prepared for it.
Yeah. Do you have any comments or statements you want to make?
No, not really. I just hope that everything goes well over there. Hope it goes well enough they can bring us home early.
Well, special Stephen, I want to thank you. This is the end of part 1.
Okay.
Part 2 is when you come back.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I'll see you in 8 months then, so.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
This is November 9th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Specialist Logan Bishop at the 486 Civil Affairs Battalion in Broken Arrow. Where were you born?
I was born in Fort Sill.
Fort Sill. And when's your birthday?
26th of December, 74.
1974. When did you first join the military?
April of 93.
April of 93. Active duty or reserve?
Reserve.
Why the Army over the Navy or Marines or Air Force?
Father was in the Army. I knew I'd joined the Army ever since I was a little kid.
Where'd you go to basic?
Fort Jackson.
Fort Jackson. Who's your drill sergeant?
Had Drill Sergeant Brewer, Gregory, and Stewart.
Which one impressed you the most?
Gregory.
Why?
Because he cared about us. The other two, I mean, through the whole thing, you know, he'd get down and push when we did, and you know, he wouldn't ask us to do something that he wouldn't do with us.
What's your fondest memory of basic?
Camaraderie between the guys. They just, you know, we had a bunch of friendships. We were real tight. That was it.
What's your worst memory of basic?
Leaving and never seeing those guys again. It's truly, I mean, it's not so much the training or getting dropped or anything like that. It's just leaving and never seeing those guys again.
Where'd you go to AIT?
Bragg, Fort Bragg.
For Civil Affairs?
Yes.
What is Civil Affairs?
Civil Affairs is basically anything dealing with a civilian. If there's a civilian involved, we're involved. Dealing with their needs, finding out what those needs are, finding out what offends them, how to best meet their needs, and anything that a civilian needs, we're there for. Coordinate with.
Did you ever think that you'd be called up to a combat zone?
I hoped, but I never really believed I would with this unit. Truthfully.
When you first heard that you were going to Bosnia, what was your reaction?
Man, I was pretty psyched up about it. Of course, I don't really care to freeze for 9 months, but yeah, I was ready to go.
What are your expectations in Bosnia?
Truthfully, I don't know. I expect to be cold, and probably really, truly not get to do very much as far as CA because I'll be with 3 officers.
What's your job going to be? This is a classified briefing, so
I have no idea.
do you know where you're going to be?
All it says is Tuesday. They haven't truly told me. I know who I'll be attached with.
When you heard that you were going to Bosnia, did your attitude toward your training change?
Toward CA training?
Well, training with the gas mask weapons is not. Did your attitude change?
Of course, yeah. Started looking at it more, trying to stay away, and taking it more seriously, because you might actually have to use it.
Watching TV, of course, we see Bosnia and all the destruction over there, and they've had tours on the news. What's your reaction when you see those pictures, knowing that you're going to be there soon?
I'm not sure that's really set in yet, that I'm actually going to that destruction. I mean, I see it over there, and I see that it's a bad situation, but it really hasn't set in that I'm going to be affected by it. So I really haven't. I can't really answer that.
When I say snipers, what's your reaction?
Of course, I guess, of course, a sniper would invoke fear, but I'm not too worried about it. I mean, casualties from sniper fire, at least for soldiers, hasn't been all that high, from what I've heard.
Landmines.
Definitely scared of landmines, because I mean, you have no idea where they're at. And, it's something you have to be cautious with.
Have you had training here for landmines?
No. I got a lie detector.
Yeah. Mine detector. What would it take for you to kill someone?
To feel threatened, seriously, my life threatened, or the life of someone in my unit, or a civilian, just to see him.
Has your attitude towards your family, your wife, changed since you heard you went abroad?
No, not towards my wife really, because my wife's a soldier also, and she knows what to expect, and she knew it could happen, and I know that the same could happen to her. So not really.
But your family, other than your wife?
My family, yes, I'm trying to spend more time, the little time I got left, trying to spend as much of it with them as I can, because I know we'll be apart for a while.
What is the trouble? No, I was going to ask. Have you thought the possibility of you getting shot or even killed over there? What do you think about that?
That's something that I knew I might have to face the day I signed up, so I'm pretty much in terms with it. Make sure my SGLI is paid up.
How about your wife? What does she think about it?
She knows also that it could happen. And everyone in my family, I'm from a very military family, and they all know it can happen. They just pray for me and hope it doesn't.
What would you like to tell posterity?
And my posterity, just that, a little fear is natural, of course. I don't know. It's kind of.
What do you think is the trouble in Bosnia? Why all this mess over there?
Because of differences in religion, I guess, basically.
Why is it called ethnic cleansing?
I don't know. I don't know why it's called ethnic cleansing.
In your opinion, should we be over there?
This is classified?
This is classified.
No, I don't think so.
You have any comments or statements you want to make?
No, better not.
Well, go ahead.
I don't see that we should be under NATO or United Nations. I don't see that.
Well, this is part one of the interview. Part two will be when you come back.
Maybe I'll be able to answer your questions better.
Okay. Thank you. Today is November 9th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd, and this is an interview with Specialist Devon Buford. We're at the 486 Civil Affairs Battalion in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. So where were you born?
Tulsa, Oklahoma, sir.
Tulsa. And when's your birthday?
January 1st, 1975.
January 1st. When did you first join the military?
When I was 17 years old, 92.
92. The reserves?
I joined the National Guard and then transferred from National Guard to reserves.
Okay, why the Army, not the Navy, Marines?
Navy, didn't really care too much for boats or being on the sea. And the Marines, to me, had too much an attitude problem. And at the time when I was 17, the Army National Guard was the one to give me the best offer.
Okay. Where'd you go to basic?
Fort Benning, Georgia.
Fort Benning. Who was your drill sergeant?
Oh, I had a drill sergeant Horton, I had a drill sergeant Greenwich, and a couple others, but those two stuck out.
Which one impressed you the most?
Drill sergeant Horton,
Why?
because every day he seemed like a squared away soldier.
What was his attitude toward the soldiers?
It was firm, but laid back sometimes. It would depend on what was going on, and if we was on downtime or if we was actually in training.
What's your fondest memory of basic?
A basic? I would say the friends I met over there. I can remember just about all my friends.
What's your worst memory of basic?
Getting smoked all the time.
What did you do?
They would have sometimes they would have us do like push-ups after push-ups after push-ups, or they would just have us do like was it dying cockroach. And so I mean, they would have us do all kinds of stuff like that.
I hate the dying.
Oh yeah, I don't think there was anyone there who did like it.
I remember it well. So AIT
That was Fort Benning, Georgia again.
for infantry,
11 Charlie,
which is
mortar.
mortar. Okay. And what National Guard unit were you a member?
First 279, Alpha Company.
Which is where?
It's over on 15th Street in Tulsa, by the fairgrounds.
So why did you transfer to the reserves?
Well, I have like 3 years left on my contract, and I was trying to find a better job. Now I want to actually be able to do something besides go to Camp Gruber or Fort Chaffee every weekend. And I talked to Lee Simmons, who said, over here you actually go places. So I said, it would be cool to come over here and actually go overseas, do something for once.
And what's your civilian job?
I'm a clerk at OU.
Okay. Oh, you live in Oklahoma City?
I live in Tulsa. They have a continuing education office down there.
Okay. So, what is civil affairs?
Well, to be honest and truthfully, I really don't know too much about civil affairs. I just heard little bits and pieces of it, and I guess what they told me point blank of what civil affair was is that we go to foreign governments and help them build a stronger government.
Did you ever think that you'd be called up to a combat area?
No, sir.
When you first heard you were being deployed to Bosnia, what was your reaction?
When I first heard it, I guess I had a little bit of mixed emotion. I was happy because I was going overseas. I've never been overseas before. And it was giving me a perfect chance to go. But then I didn't know for sure if I was ready to put my life on hold to go overseas.
You have training in the unit, training on gas mask, weapons, whatever. Has your attitude toward the training changed since you heard you're going to a combat area?
Yes, it has. It's given me a chance to get caught back up on stuff I learned back in base training, or back in my old unit, which I haven't had touched since I left the unit. Like on the weapons or even the mask, even land nav. And that my old unit, we did that maybe once a year, so it gave me a chance to get brought back up to speed on land nav or my weapons.
In your opinion, what is the reason for the trouble in Bosnia?
From what I gather, just by watching the news, it was over the election, and that there was people still over there who opposed the election, and like the way they had been going for so many years, and they didn't want to change.
Do you know where you're going to be in Bosnia?
So far I've been changed twice.
Twice.
Last time I heard, I was on the Russian team in Tuzla. That's all I know.
You know what you're going to be doing with the Russians?
No, sir.
But this is classified. When, speaking of Tuzla, on the television you see all the news and you see the destruction over there in Tuzla. What's your reaction knowing you're going to be there in the near future?
I guess lately here I haven't been really watching television because I didn't want to get myself psyched up for something else can be over there, and then get over there and it'd be like totally different, or things have been changed. So I stopped watching news about it. Last thing I heard, last time I watched television, the news on it, it sort of made me a little bit weary about going over there.
When I say snipers, what's your reaction?
Ooh. My reaction to a sniper would be dangerous and to watch out.
Landmines.
Careful. You gotta be very careful because I know there's a lot of them over there. And I think I have basic training in AIT because I was an infantry unit. I've had a little experience on them, but I think if I did come across one, I would leave Ware Hills and go find someone else.
What would it take for you to kill someone?
It's for them to put me or someone in my unit or some civilian in danger, and then I'll take action to it.
When you see the American flag now, what's your reaction?
My reaction to the American flag would be pride and leading the way.
Has your attitude toward your family changed?
Yes. I guess when I was young, I ran away from home when I was young. So my family and I has not been close. But since how I've been activated and I am going overseas, and there's no telling what can happen over there, I'm trying to come close to my family. That way, if anything does happen, it won't end on a sour note.
So have you pondered the thought that you might get shot or even killed over there?
Yes, I have.
What's your reaction?
I don't really. I'm trying to make sure I don't leave any loose ends here, and everything will be taken care of. I even taken out more insurance on myself, and made my mother beneficiary, my friends' kids, and just people that I think have been close to me and helped me through my life.
What would you like to tell your family?
Like if something happened to me over there, if something happened to me over there, I would like to tell my family I'm sorry for all the things I did wrong in my life that have maybe embarrassed my family or made my family look bad. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I would. And I would change some things I did in my life.
Do you have any comments, any statements you want to make?
Like to my family or to
anything. This is now open to you. You can say anything you want.
I did have a question. Like if something does happen to me, will the safe go to my family?
Yes.
Well, I guess first it'll be to my family that I love them dearly and I will miss them dearly. And I hope everything goes okay after everything's over and done with. And to my friends, just keep going strong. And I'll see you soon.
Okay, this is part one of the interview. Part two is when you get back. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. This is November 9th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Major Dave Robinson at the 486 Civil Affairs Battalion at Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Where were you born?
Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
And when's your birthday?
January the 1st, 1956.
1956. When did you first join the military?
July the 6th, 1976.
Active duty?
National Guard.
National Guard. What unit?
Company B, 1st 180, 45th SIB.
Which is?
Separate Infantry Brigade.
Which is where?
Oklahoma. 45th Infantry Brigade.
I know what town.
Poto.
Poto. Where'd you go for basic?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Who was your drill sergeant?
That's Staff Sergeant Davis.
What-
David Davis.
I'm sorry?
David Davis.
What impressed you about him?
He cared. He was a Vietnam vet, hadn't been back from Nam too terribly long. Purple Heart, at least a Bronze Star. I think he also had a Silver Star. But he was serious about our training. It wasn't just a job.
What's your fondest memory of basic?
So I'm laughing at people when they screw up. Because some of the dumbest things you'd ever want to see, that's what people would do. It never ceased to amaze me how ignorant some people were.
What would they do?
Turn left instead of right. Wouldn't follow commands, didn't understand what was going on. Just stupid things. And then I'd get dropped for push-ups because I was laughing at them.
What's your worst memory of basic?
Being cold. Being so cold you shook inside your sleeping bag. Just freezing. That was the worst. Miserable cold.
What time of year was it?
January. Third week of January was on bivouac at the range. Very cold. In fact, we should not have been out on the range training. On the rifle range, it was below whatever limit the Army said you should be training. The battalion commander was relieved because the general heard that we were training, came out, dashed the sea, and we should have been out in the field. They relieved the battalion commander. Well, it was.
So after basic, you went to AIT?
Fort Benning.
Infantry.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
What do you want to know?
Fort Benning School for Boys, whatever?
Good place. Good morale. Facilities wasn't working. Old World War II barracks that was supposedly going to be tore down after we left, which they weren't. When I went back 10 years later as a captain for the advanced course, I was in resident and drove over there just to see they were still there. Troops were still training in there. In fact, a few years after that, I took a company of soldiers and we stayed in the same billets. My CQ, or my headquarters office, was in the same building as the headquarters office was when I was there for AIT.
So how long were you in the National Guard?
18 years.
18 years. And you got your commission how?
OCS.
OCS. Oklahoma National Guard?
Yes.
And when did you get your commission?
79.
1979. Okay. When did you transfer to the reserves?
I believe that was in 86. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't 86. Take that back. I was in the Guard 10 years. I was in infantry. I was an infantry soldier for 18 years. It was 86. 86, 87 time frame when I transferred out of the Guard to the reserves.
What unit in the reserves?
3rd Battalion, 1st Brigade, 95th Training Division.
Infantry?
Yes.
Why did you come to reserve, to Civil Affairs?
I was told by senior officers that I needed to show the Army I can do something else besides infantry. Get branch transferred into something, branch qualified in something else. Then if you want to, you can always come back to the infantry. I looked around and saw Civil Affairs, talked to Civil Affairs officers, liked the mission. At that time, this unit had a German mission. I had spent a month in Europe, and I wanted to go back. And what better way to go back to the military? And by the time I did make the transition to CA, the mission of this unit had changed to SouthCom, which I'd never been to Panama or anywhere in South America, so that was okay.
What is Civil Affairs?
To whose eyes?
Your eyes.
Easiest form is a liaison between our forces and host nation. And it's whatever needs to be done in the civil military arena.
What's your job in the unit?
Team leader.
When you first heard that you were going to Bosnia, what was your reaction?
I was excited.
Why?
You can put a correlation like this. If you practiced to play football for 20 years, never got to play, then all of a sudden the coach comes up and taps you on the shoulder and says, you're going in. That's the way this is. I've practiced for 20 years to serve my country in combat zone. I finally get to play. There's been warriors in my family as far back as we can trace it. Every generation has had a Robinson in some conflict somewhere. In Vietnam, it was my cousin. In this one, it'll be me. There's a romanticism about going to combat. Now, we probably won't actually see any live rounds being busted to each other, but I think that most men have. Once they get in the middle of it, romanticism is gone, and I understand that. But I still want to see what it's like. I want to be there. I want to do it myself.
Of course, you have training on your weekend drills with weapons, gas masks, whatever. Has your attitude towards this training changed since you've been called up?
Not really, because I've always been proficient at that. Perhaps that's my infantry background. I was always serious about the NBC training. In fact, that probably scares me more than anything. I'm more worried about the gas than I am stepping on a landmine, for example, or incoming artillery, or direct fire. The gas you can't see. And you're in it before you know it.
What's the root of the trouble in Bosnia?
Greed, money, power,
On whose part?
from the warring factions. And I can't tell you who or whom those particular individuals are. But that's the root of it.
How long has this been going on?
The best of my knowledge, the conflict that's taking place right now is approximately 400 years. And they are using religion as a basis, as a cover-up. It's more than religion. Certain people, certain groups of people wanting power. They want their way.
Should we be okay? This classified.
Yes, I believe so, in some respects. If the countries involved, i.e. the neighbors, France, Germany, Russia, Italy, if they will not pick up the ball and run with it to try to stop this, somebody has to. Or it could escalate. And if it escalates to the point it did in World War I or II, then we will have to go and more lives will be lost. This way, perhaps we can stop it, which we have at this point. The fighting stopped, not just because of us, but mostly because of our leadership.
Has your attitude toward your family changed?
A little bit, not a whole lot. And the reason why, approximately a year and a half ago, I went through a divorce. So my children, which I have 3 daughters, became more important then because I didn't get to see them all the time. I didn't get to see them every day. Therefore, my awareness of being around them, being away from them, is heightened. So it can't be much more than it already is. Yes, there's some urgency there. I want to spend as much time as I can with them between now and 2 more weeks. So there has been some change. But I don't think it would have affected me as much had I still been married, still been a family unit. And I may be mistaken. It could very well be just like it is now or worse.
You know where you're going to be in Bosnia?
Northern military areas, all I know.
Watching television, you see all the pictures of the destruction over there. What's your reaction knowing you're going to be there? So,
my reaction is more of a question than a reaction. Where will we be? Where will we be housed? Will we be in a military compound? Will we have to secure ourselves, our area, ourselves, my team and I? Those are my questions. I'm not alarmed at being in an area that's degraded, where there's not stores to go to. Keep in mind, much of my military training has been out in the field environment, albeit peacetime, far away from any built-up area. So what we lived off of as an infantry soldier and an officer was basically what we had on our back. So I'm not used to deploying somewhere and staying in a BOQ or staying in a motel like oftentimes we get to in the CA community. So that part really doesn't bother me. I may be nuts, but it's not too bad. I don't worry about it.
when I say landmines, what's your reaction?
Caution. Be cautious of it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to move. Don't be paralyzed. Just be cautious and observant.
Snipers.
Reaction. React quickly. And again, don't let them stop your mission. Does that carry over from infantry days? Possibly. But just know how to react to the sniper fire, and that I've been trained to do, so that'll be second or instant reaction. I won't have to think about it.
What would it take for you to kill someone?
Knowing my life or my partner's life's in danger.
Ever been in a hostile area before?
Closest thing I've been in hostile environments when I was a police officer in the middle of riots.
Where was this?
In Stillwater. And it really wasn't a riot. I was arresting a couple of OSU wrestlers that were fighting. One was black and one was white. And I was the only police officer in amongst about 50 plus angry students. And trying to keep them off me and keep the other two guys that were about 3 times my size subdued was difficult until help arrived.
Have you thought of the possibility of your being shot or even killed?
Yes, that's a possibility. And I've thought of it, but I don't dwell on it. If the good Lord says it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go. That may be a frivolous way to look at it. Not a thing I can do. Only thing I can do to be is aware of my environment, pay attention to what I've been taught, and react accordingly.
What would you tell your daughters?
That I love them, that I want to come back. And ask them to pray for me.
If you have any comments, I'm going to throw it open. Just say anything you want.
Can't think of anything. Just that I am not a crook, and I don't have troops in Cambodia.
Wrong president.
That's true. And I don't inhale.
Yes. This is part one of the interview. Part two is when you get back. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.